welcome intermediate students to another intermediate lesson at learnpianolive.com. This is an intermediate lesson, so the assumption is that you can probably play a couple songs at least well enough to impress a couple friends. You might have some basic understanding of music theory or something, but you really haven't had any formal training. So if that's you, you're in the right place. If you feel, throughout this lesson like it's way too advanced, you might want to go back and check out yesterday's lesson. It's in the archives, the beginner's version of this lesson. That might answer a lot of your questions, but feel free to ask away, ask any questions. This is about you and me, so you got to ask questions so I know, how to help you best. And there's a couple other things I want to talk to you too about before this countdown clock hits 0. All right, first and most important, ask a lot of questions. The way that you're going to do that is there's a couple different ways. You can jump in the chat room and talk with the other students who are logged in at the same time. I'll be watching the chat room too. You can ask your questions there. Or if it's a question that's just for me, a question about the lesson, especially if you know it's one that's going to fit best at the question and answer time at the end, then you can just put your name and your question in the box below this video, click submit, and then I will get that. Now, if you're already in the archives, if you're watching this not live, but you're watching this in the archives, then make sure at the end of the lesson you click on the survey button. You don't have to fill out the entire survey. If you want to, I'd love your feedback, but really the best part of that is that you can put your question in there, and then when you click submit, then I will get all of your questions. I'll make sure that you get them answered, whether you're in the archives or you're live. Right next to this video, there should be a PDF button and an MP3 button. Now, you don't really need those till after the lesson because I'm going to be showing you on screen the PDF and showing you how to use it. And I'll play the MP3 during the lesson too, so you know at the end of the lesson how you're going to use that. Some people, though, like to print out the PDF ahead of time, so as I'm making notes on my version, they can make the same notes on their version, but works either way. All right, this is perhaps the most important part. You need to leave the lesson when you feel like you're sufficiently challenged. So, I'm teaching these lessons, 12 to 15 lessons a month. Normally in traditional lessons, you're getting like a lesson every other week or so. So this is just way too much for you to take in. So, the goal is for you to get some little nugget of something that you can really practice on, really work on. Once you feel like you have that, then you really don't need anything else from me. Go practice. That's where this stuff is really gonna happen. You're not going to get through this lesson and be able to play something really well. You're going to get through this lesson and have the information that you need to practice more effectively. That's really the goal here. So don't feel bad about taking off early. If you feel like halfway through the lesson you got as much as you can take in at that time, then go practice that thing, and then come back whenever you've got that thing down, or you're bored with it, or you just want to check out the next topic. Don't forget also that you've got the archives too. So if you want to see one little thing, just repeat it over and over and over. Just give me, hopefully within 24 hours after the lesson, this thing will be up in the archive, so you can just go back and watch it over and over and over and over and just get that little segment down. All right, today we're doing everybody's favorite topic. Out of the 8 sectors of musicianship, the one that everybody always likes the most is application. That's where you finally actually get to play a song. So if you've been here for the last couple weeks, you'll notice a lot of the same concepts popping up today, because we're going to take those concepts, we're going to apply them to a very specific song. If you haven't been here, don't worry about it. I'll show you how to play all of our little concepts. So hopefully at the end of today's lesson, you'll have all the tools to practice an actual real song that you can play for your friends and impress them. Let's go. All right, here we go. We do have a kind of a new setup here, so let me know in the chat room, or if you're in the archives, in the comments in the survey, what we can do to change things around, or if none of it looks any different at all to you, fantastic, we've done our jobs. So let's check out this song. It is I See Fire. The track that you have is going to sound a little something like this. And as you know, if you've been here before, then this is just the chords that are listed here on the play-along chart. It is at 76 beats per minute. And it uses those chords listed. Now, we didn't talk a lot about this last time, but There we go. But it is 2 beats per chord, or 2 chords per measure, because each chord is 4 beats. So let me show you that here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and already this camera is annoying me. Here, let's try that. Is that better? I can't tell if that's better or worse. Yeah, anyway, no, I need more. There we go, like that. That might work. So there's 4 beats per measure. So in each measure, the first chord is going to take up the first 2 beats, and the second chord is going to take up the second 2 beats. So this is beat 1 and 2. This is beat 3 and 4, just like that. And then here we've got this one right here. This G flat on the end is going to have 4 beats just on that G flat. So you're going to play that G flat chord 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you're returning from yesterday, there are a couple changes on the second page that I noticed. So we'll get into those. But this G flat is a G flat major, and that is G flat, B flat, and D flat. This works. This is just a little. This isn't really part of the lesson, but just an extra little hint is that for any chord that is a flat, or a sharp for that matter, and you already know the non-flat or non-sharp version of it. For example, if you already are playing G chords like that, and then you run into a G flat chord, then you can just take that G chord and then flat every single one of those notes. So it's a G chord where that's flat and that's flat and that's flat. So that makes up the G flat major chord. I know a lot of you in Clapple Academy struggle with the sharps and flats, as does everybody. It's just more evident for people who are in Clapple Academy because it feels like it shouldn't be that difficult, but it is. So you can just, instead of having to go root plus 4 plus 3 or whatever, you can just take the non-flatted version of it and then flat all of them. Or sharp, if you're trying to play an F sharp chord, then you can just take an F chord and sharp all of them. So anyway, but with that G flat right there, what I was originally trying to say is that one is going to last for 4 beats. We're at 76 beats per minute, so if you're practicing along with your metronome, then make sure you set it to something lower than 76 and work your way up to 76. Once you can do it at 76 beats per minute, then you are ready for the track. And then these are all of the chords. Now, I mentioned a couple differences from yesterday. Yesterday, this was a D flat minor chord, which is not actually in the song. So this was an F flat, which we discussed a little bit yesterday, but that is not the case. So it should be a D flat, an F, and an A flat as your D flat not minor chord. There we go. We'll get rid of all the wrong stuff there. D flat major chord, and then the rest of them are listed here. Hopefully that all makes sense to you because you've either been here for the intermediate lessons before or because you were at yesterday's lesson. And then we talked about D flat being the key and how that means that number 1 is going to be a D flat, and then it's just going to be those notes. I gave you some of the numbers here for the song, and then I filled in the rest of the chords and labeled them like we had done in the past with the interlude and verse and stuff. So on the parts where there's not a list of chords for you, like verse, that's going to be the same exact chords as the last verse. So if you can play the first verse, you can play the second verse. You're just going to play those same exact chords in the same exact order. This interlude is half as long as the rest of these interludes, like this one here. So if we just take a look at those two, we got 4 chords on this one, and we have 8 chords on this one, 2 sets of 4. So this interlude is half as long. And this is where we start getting into the theory of the whole thing. So let's jump in, since that is what today is supposed to be about. Anyway, here we go. Nice. Clean enough. So then, like I said, this is the key of D flat, which means that the D flat chord is going to be number 1. Now, the song does not sound major. It sounds mostly minor because the first chord that it has in it is a B flat minor. Now, that is the 6th chord. That is the minor equivalent of the major chord. It has the same quality to it as you're listening to it. It has that feeling of like, yeah, we could end the song here. This is the resting place for the song. But it's obviously minor, and it's not going to have that like happy quality that the 1 chord would normally have. Instead, it's kind of dark and somber and all of that stuff, depressing, all those other adjectives that we use sometimes. So it's going to start on that one, and because it has that at the beginning of sets of 4 measures, in other words, because they throw a B flat minor in right there, and right there, and right there, and right there, those are kind of the key points for this or any other song. The beginning of a set of 4 measures is going to kind of create the atmosphere for the whole rest of definitely that set of 4 measures and potentially the entire song. So the fact that they start on a minor chord right there, even though we're in a major key, means that the whole song is going to kind of have the feel of minor. Now, here's the reason it's not minor. In every major or minor key, the 5 chord has to be a major chord. The 5 chord has to be a major chord. Has to be dominant. If it's going to be, for example, B flat minor, if we were going to be playing in the key of B flat minor, that'd be the 1 chord, the 2 chord, the 3 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord. Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just straight through this thing right here, only calling this right here number 1. Now I'm about to destroy what I'm saying here. I'm saying that we are not in the key of B flat. So this is all hypothetical. If we had been in the key of B flat, because you're like, oh, it sounds like it's a minor song and it sounds sad and depressing. There's lots of B flat minors in there. Why isn't this the key of B flat minor? That's what I'm showing you. So that's the 1. Then the 2 would be this note right here, which is actually the next note up, the 7, in the key that we're actually in, D flat. The next note up would be the 3. That would what we're currently calling the 1 in the key of D flat. The next would be the 4, and that would be the 2 in the key of D flat. And the next one would be the 5 in the key of B flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So F is the 5 of B flat minor, or of B flat pretty much anything. That's the 5 of it. Now, if we were in the key of B flat minor, then this chord would have to be a major chord. So whenever you saw an F on the chord sheet, this would have to be an F major, like that. However, the chords that you see actually on the chord sheet are, I'll hang on to that one, F minor. Every time it walks past an F, it's playing an F minor, and F minor is not actually in the key of B flat minor, it's in the key of D flat. So that's why we're calling this the key of D flat, even though in all the critical places, in the beginnings of those sets of 4, every single time they're hitting that B flat and the whole song feels like it's minor-ish. It doesn't have the major 5. It has a minor 5. So that is all of the chords from the key of D flat. Even though those are relatives, and if you're in Clopple Academy level 3 or higher, then you're already dealing with relatives and stuff like that. So anyway, that is our description of the key of D flat. Now, let's talk about what's happening as far as chord numbers are concerned now that we know that this is a 6. It's going to go from that one, which is the 6, down to that one, which is the 4. So from here, if we number these chords, B flat minor is the 1, or sorry, we just spent all that time explaining why that's not the 1, is the 6, G flat is going to be the 4, A flat is going to be the, any guesses? A flat's going to be the 5, and then B flat's going to be the 6. This right here kind of makes up the whole entire song. And then you loop it again. And you can pretty much play these in almost any inversion. This kind of feels like I See Fire because it's looping those chords. It begins and ends on the 6, and so every time they go for an interlude or an intro or anything like that, then it's going to be this little loop of 6, 4, 5, 6, and you can do that in any key, and it's still going to sound pretty much like I See Fire. If we go to the key of C, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that'd be the 6 in the key of C, and we just play 6, 4, 5, 6. And if we play those as chords, this still sounds kind of like I See Fire. Anyway, 6, 4, 5, 6, that's the feel of I See Fire. And then it does have this kind of weird jump up to a 1 right here, which is, as far as our pop song analysis has gone so far, pretty rare to go to have this loop right here and then go to a 1 chord so early on. But because it's on the beat 3 of the first measure, in other words, because the 1 chord is showing up right here on beat 3, it's kind of hidden. It doesn't really have the quality of a 1 chord because it's just crammed into this series of measures that have all these other chords in it. Now, if the D flat was like back, here we go, get rid of some of this stuff. If the D flat chord was right here instead, then it would really definitely feel like a 1 chord. But if it kind of snuck by you when you were listening to it, and you didn't recognize it as a 1 chord, it's because they hit it right there on beat 3. So that was kind of not fair. And I think that's about all that we want to jump into for right now. Let's go ahead and play the original. This is, here we go. I See Fire.
Misty eye of the mountain.
I'm going to jump to the last page.
Keep careful watch of my brother's soul.
By the way, I gave you the notes for this right there. So if you get into
should the
page
sky be filled with
3, should have all the notes for this section if you want to play.
Keep watching over Joan's song.
Hold on. Here we go. 6, 4, 5, 6, 6, 4, 5, 6.
If this is to end,
6, 1,
then we should all
5,
together.
4,
Watch the flames climb
1, 5, 2. And let's talk about that real quick. That 2 chord right there. In the same way that the 6 is the minor version of 1, that is the minor version of that. 2 is the minor substitution for a 4. So pretty much anywhere you have, and in almost any of your songs you have a 4 chord, you could substitute a 2 chord in there for it, and it would sound probably more jazzy. But other than that, or more R&B or more something not straight popish, but it's a pretty safe substitute for a 4 chord. So they're really going 6, 1, 5, 4. But every other time they're going to substitute out a 2 chord for where the 4 chord was.
now, Father, oh, stand by and we will watch the flames burn on the mountainside.
And right there, we've got that little walk up right there from the 2 to the 3 to the 4. So 2, 3 to 4. And that's pretty common. Usually after that, you would have either a 4 over 5 or a 5. A 4 over 5 is just a suspended 5, basically. So a 5 chord. So 2, 3, 4, 5, which sounds right to me in this song, but that's not what they do. So if it were me,
Stand by and
we would end up with something like
watch the flames burn on the mountainside.
and we'd back into the loop. So 2, 3, 4, 5, they just kind of halted on the 4 there, hung out there before they jump back into the rest of it. I think that walk up was the last thing that I wanted to show you. So let's do our feature of the day. We'll do a little wrap up and then get to your questions. Our feature of the day is from a couple questions I've gotten recently about pianos and cleaning pianos. What's the best thing to use to clean my piano? Water. Water is the best thing to use. A total cotton, 100% cotton cloth with a little tiny bit of water, not to make it wet, but just to break down the fibers a little bit of the cloth, and then just wipe it down like that. Don't use any chemicals, no lemon pledge or any of that stuff on your wooden pianos. Don't use it. Just plain water is the only thing you want to use. So there you go. That's the whole thing, but it's important. All right, so this is our wrap-up. We're going to check out the chords that we talked about. We did have one substituted chord right there for the D flat minor that we had yesterday. We talked a little bit about the key, and we talked mostly about how all keys, major and minor, have to have a major 5. So the major 5 is kind of what determines whether you're in a major key or the relative minor key, is go to the chord that is either the 5 of what the minor key would be or the 3 of what the major key would be. That's the same chord in both cases. In this case, if we were in D flat, the 3 would be F, or if we were in B flat minor, it'd still be F. So that's the 5 of the minor or the 3 of the major. And that chord quality will tell you whether you're in the minor key or the major key. If it's minor, then that's the 3 chord of the major key. But if it's major, that's the 5 chord of the minor key. So we talked about how to tell the difference between the majors and the minors, and talked about sets of 4, how those are really important, and whatever you put at the front here is going to be the driving characteristic of the song, and how this right here is a great place to hide a 1 chord where it doesn't really feel like a 1. It's a really tricky thing to hear. If you're on Clopple Academy level 5 or higher, you're dealing with listening for chords and things like that, and trying to determine just by the sound of it whether it's a 1 chord or a 5 chord or a 4 chord or a 6 chord. So if you missed that one, don't feel bad about that. It's in one of the trickiest places to hear a 1 chord. And then we talked about the order of the song, the walk up from 2, 3, 4, how it usually goes to 5. On this one, they stall out at the 4. And the main looping chord set of this is the 6, 4, 5, 6, which is in a lot of other songs too. But going to the 1 then, right there after the 6, is relatively unique. It's still, it's the 1 chord, so it's not uncommon in the key at all. But it is uncommon kind of in a song to go from the 6 to the 1 as your opening set of 2 chords. So that's it for our wrap up. Give me your questions. Question 1, can I use essential oils on the piano? You can use whatever you want. I wouldn't. I would use just straight water, no trace elements of anything else in there. Could you show me the fingering for the E major 5-finger pattern? Yes, absolutely. So let me actually zoom in for this one. So E major is going to have eventually 4 sharps in it, but in the 5-finger pattern it only has 2 sharps. The other 2 sharps are actually the 2 that you're not playing in the 5-finger pattern. So you would just play E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, and then back down the same way, A, G sharp, F sharp, E. And then if you're doing this for the Clopple Academy thing, then you have to go up and down, and then do the 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, and then the 1, 3, 5 all together. So. Make sure you do that with your metronome at whatever speed your syllabus tells you that you need to do that. So, and it looks like, let me refresh one more time and see, it looks like that is our last question. So, till next time, I love you. Thanks for being here, and good luck. Have fun.